What's up, everybody? Peter X Coffer here, and welcome to another episode of Five Things. And today we're doing the five things I love about Fleetwood Mac. One of my, legendary band. Rumors is a classic album. Had to do me some Fleetwood Mac. They have an interesting history. They started off as a blues band out of England. I think the Christine McVie, John McVie, and Mick Fleetwood and they had Peter Green and a couple other folks in the early lineup, and they left. And for 75, the 75 Fleetwood Mac album, they brought in Lindsey Buckingham and Stevie Nicks, and that changed the band. They went from a blues band to a pop rock band, with the songwriting prowess of um, Lindsey and Stevie together, and then separately, they just blew up. So the first thing I love about Fleetwood Mac, let's talk about Rumors. They didn't separate their personal lives from the music, and that's what Rumors is all about. So John McVie and Christine McVie were married. Um, Lindsey Buckingham and Stevie Nicks were an item, and then they weren't. And when they were doing Rumors, these couples were in breakup. And oh, by the way, Stevie Nicks did have a fling during this breakup with the drummer Mick Fleetwood, and also I can't remember who Christine McVie, whether it was the lighting director or the tour manager, but she also had, not a band member, but someone associated with the touring, and she wrote "You Make Loving Fun," about this relationship. So when you talk about the chain on Rumors with Stevie and Lindsey, that was and they both singing it too, and it's just like, wow, this is about each other. And they talk about when Go Your Own Way, when he came into and the band played it, and Stevie's reads the lyrics like, this is about me. And then um uh Stevie's classic Dreams was about Lindsey. But hey, it worked. It worked, at least for this album. And it did lead to um, substance abuse problems, particularly for Stevie. But I think Lindsey probably, I think Lindsey had, in the late 70s and the early 80s. And ultimately, I mean, I think right before the pandemic, Stevie and Lindsey have always had a volatile relationship, and Stevie finally said, "Look, who do you want, me or him?" And the band was like, "We'll take you." And so Lindsey was fired, and he hasn't been with. I don't know if it was 2017, 2018, something like that. I actually got to see them, in the 220 somewhere between 2000 and 2010. I got to see them live, and Christine didn't was not touring with them by then, but it's the rest, the originals were there. So yeah, so number one, they merged their personal lives with their art. Got it? Yes, they did. They definitely did. Made it interesting. And it worked. It made for great, really great art. Um, Number two, Lindsey Buckingham's guitar work. I mean, when I saw him live, he did a wicked, wicked guitar solo. He's just, when you listen to their songs, he's so good at being subtle, but really just he's subtle, sort of like George Harrison. He does. It's not in your face, but it just is. It's almost like taking a boring dish and making it really good with subtle flavoring. I mean, he's not doing anything fancy. A lot of it's the tones he uses, and oh, he's just good. He's just good. I mean, he's dropped stuff in you, and you're like, wow, like, and if you're not a songwriter, you miss it. But there's a there's a lot going on in these songs, and there's a lot of ingredients, and sometimes the subtle ones are the most important because they tie things together or they enhance other things, bring out things in the song that wouldn't be brought out if it wasn't there. So gotta talk about Lindsey's, you know, his technical playing skills. As I said, when I saw him live, he did that solo, and it was just amazing. But yeah, I mean, Rolling Stone dropped him in at number 100 on their top 100 list. I didn't check for the 250 list, but I'm sure they didn't drop him out. I mean, they expanded it, so he's there somewhere on the latest list. So number three, the use of three singers. So Lindsey Buckingham, Christine McVie, and Stevie Nicks all did vocals and lead, and all did a wonderful job. I mean, Stevie has such a unique sounding voice, um, and juxtaposed with Lindsay and with Christine. I mean, it's just they all have very unique voices that don't clash, and then some songs you have all three of them singing, and it just works. It's an art. Unfortunately, it's when we're in the band era is done. I mean, it's mostly solo acts now, so that the doo wop, all that, multiple singers, that goes back to doo-wop. But that era, unfortunately, because it's cheaper for the artist and for the label to keep the number of singers and the number of musicians down, and also for branding. So, but man, how they did the vocals was something wonderful. Um, Number four, the band changed their sound. I already talked about they started off blues and then they went to pop rock, and then that was, largely inspired. Well, almost all of it was due to Lindsey and Stevie joining the band. Lindsey and Stevie did one solo album together. I haven't listened to it. I probably should go back and listen to it. But they have great writing chops. And then finally, the fifth thing that I like about Fleetwood Mac is Stevie Nicks' songwriting ability. She's in the Songwriting Hall of Fame, and yeah, she did. She wrote for herself, for her solo albums, but her stuff sometimes when that she did with a band, and even though she had a very complicated and bitter relationship with Lindsey Buckingham. Sometimes there was just magic with her in the band. I mean, Christine McVie's also was not only is she a good vocalist, she was a great keyboard player as well. But let me drop six gems here: Rhiannon, Gypsy, Dreams, Sarah, Landslide, and Gold Dust Woman. And on those songs, those are all Fleetwood Mac songs. Those are the six songs that got her in the Rock and Roll or the Songwriters Hall of Fame. And even though she has a really good, I mean, I love Stand Back, and she has some other good, Stop Dragging My Heart Around with Tom Petty. So she did some good solo. I don't know whether she did that with Tom or Tom Petty wrote that song or what the deal was, but those six I just named are just in the category by themselves. You could take those six and put them up against anybody's top six, and I'll count, McCartney and Lennon and Dylan and even Prince. I mean, she may not have the breadth that those artists I just named have. You could throw Jay-Z in there and Drake in there too. I mean, I consider them great, songwriters as well. But those six, Rhiannon, Gypsy, Dream, Sarah, Landslide, and Gold Dust Woman, are just amazing. I mean, they're, it's almost, the sorceress and Stevie Nicks comes out. Beautiful songs, lyrically, uh, yeah, I wish I wish I could tell you why those songs work so well. Because if you're listening to this you're a Fleetwood Mac fan, and you obviously more than likely you love, if not all those, most of those songs I just named. But music theory ain't my thing. But my gut tells me she does dissonance here, or one strange element in the song and builds a strong pop song around that, and it just gives it that mysterious air that those six songs have to them. And of course, then you marry it with her great lyrics. That's what really gets it going. So yeah. So thanks again for coming through. Let me hit this closing. So subscribe to the channel, hit the like button. Got 5 of my own albums here on the channel and on all the streaming services. I record under the name Exodus, Xodus. My first album is called Book One. I also have 2 science fiction fantasy novels and novella on Amazon. So thank you again, and I will see you next episode.